You wake up early every single morning. The alarm goes off, and before the sun is even fully up, you're already getting ready for another long day. You work hard. You stay disciplined. You try to be responsible with your money. Every month, after paying rent, bills, food, and everything else life keeps throwing at you, you manage to save a little. Maybe it's $100, maybe $200, some months even less. But somehow, despite all that effort, it still feels like nothing is really changing. Your bank account isn't empty, but it's not growing in a way that feels meaningful either. You're not broke, but you're definitely not where you thought you'd be by now. And that feeling is frustrating. Because deep down, you keep asking yourself the same question. Why do I still feel financially stuck even though I'm doing everything right? Here's the thing. Most people believe building wealth comes from one big breakthrough, a huge raise, a lucky investment, or a sudden side hustle success. But in reality, wealth is usually built through small monthly wins that seem almost invisible at first. My name is Demas, and I spend way too much time thinking about money. If you're someone who feels stuck financially, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Look, if you clicked on this video, chances are you're not lazy. You're not careless. You're actually trying. You've probably made some smart decisions already. Maybe you've started saving. Maybe you've avoided unnecessary debt. Maybe you've even looked into investing. And yet, despite all that effort, something still feels off. Here's the thing. Progress with money doesn't always feel like progress. In fact, most of the time it feels slow, invisible, even a little disappointing. You're putting in effort every month, but the results don't seem to match. Now you might be thinking, am I missing something? Am I doing this wrong? That question right there. That's exactly what we're going to answer in this video. Because once you understand how small monthly wins actually work, everything starts to make a lot more sense. Look, you've probably heard all the standard financial advice before. Just save more money. Stop spending on unnecessary things. Invest early. Pay off all your debt as fast as possible. On the surface, all of that sounds logical, and technically, it's not wrong. But here's the problem. Those pieces of advice on their own don't give you a complete system. Here's what most people don't realize. Focusing on just one area can actually hold you back. If you only focus on saving, your money just sits there, slowly losing value to inflation. If you only focus on investing but ignore your spending habits, you might end up investing too little to make a real difference. And if you obsess over paying off every single debt without a strategy, you could be sacrificing years of potential growth. Now, you might be thinking, so which one should I prioritize? That's the wrong question. Because building wealth isn't about choosing one path. It's about how all these decisions work together, month after month over a long period of time. Let's break this down with real numbers, because this is where things start to click. Imagine you set aside $200 every single month. Not a huge amount, just something realistic. Now, if you keep that money in cash, no investing, no growth, after 1 year, you've got $12,400. After 10 years, that's $24,000. Simple, predictable, but also limited. Now let's take that same $200 per month and invest it in a broad index fund with an average annual return of around 7%. At first, the difference feels small. After a couple of years, you're not that far ahead. And this is where most people lose patience. But this is where it gets really interesting. Over time, your money doesn't just grow, it starts compounding. Your returns begin generating their own returns. By year 10, you're already ahead by thousands. By year 20, you're not just slightly ahead, you're potentially doubling what simple saving would give you. Here's the thing. The effort didn't change. The amount didn't change. Only the system did. And that system quietly turns small monthly contributions into something much bigger than most people expect. Now let's take this a step further. Because building 100K isn't about one smart move. It's about stacking multiple small wins that compound over time. Look, most people focus on one area. They either try to save more, or earn more, or invest more. But rarely do they combine all three in a structured way. Here's what most people don't realize. Small financial improvements, when layered together, can completely change your trajectory. Let's say you cut $100 of unnecessary spending each month. Nothing extreme, just small adjustments. Then you consistently invest $200, and over time, you increase your income by even $200, $300 through raises or side work. Now suddenly you're not just saving, you're creating a $500, $600 positive shift in your finances every single month. Now you might be thinking, that sounds unrealistic for me, but this is where it gets really interesting. You don't need to do it all at once. You build it gradually, one small win at a time. Because over time, these small changes don't just add up, they start multiplying, and that's when things begin to feel different. Now let's talk about the part that most people ignore, because it's uncomfortable. Money isn't just math, it's psychology. Look, on paper, the strategy is simple. Spend less than you earn, invest consistently, avoid high-interest debt. That's it. But if it were really that easy, everyone would already be financially secure. Here's what most people don't realize. Your brain is constantly working against long-term financial success. We're wired for instant gratification. You get paid, and your brain immediately looks for a reward, something you can enjoy right now, not 10 years from now. That's why saving and investing feel like a sacrifice instead of progress. Then there's loss aversion. Losing money feels painful. Way more painful than gaining the same amount feels good. So when the market drops even temporarily, people panic. They stop investing, or worse, they sell. Now you might be thinking, I wouldn't do that. But this is where it gets really interesting. Most people only discover their real risk tolerance when they're already losing money. And in that moment, logic disappears. Emotion takes over, and one emotional decision can undo years of consistent progress. So if the math is clear and the strategy isn't complicated, why do so many people still feel stuck? Look, it's usually not because they're not trying. It's because they're stuck in patterns that feel right in the moment, but hold them back over time. The first one is the all-or-nothing mindset. People think if they can't invest a large amount, it's not even worth starting. So they wait, they delay, and without realizing it, they lose years of compounding. The second is what I call the debt panic trap. They become so focused on eliminating every dollar of debt as fast as possible that they ignore investing completely. Now, paying off high-interest debt makes sense, but treating all debt the same can cost you long-term growth. And then there's lifestyle creep. This one is subtle. You earn more, but your spending quietly increases with it. So even though your income goes up, your financial position stays exactly the same. Here's the thing. None of these feel like mistakes when you're in them. They feel logical, responsible even. But over time, they keep you running in place. Now here's something that separates people who stay stuck from those who actually build wealth over time. It's not just how much money they make. It's how they think about the direction of their money. Look, most people treat every dollar the same. Money comes in, money goes out. As long as the bills are paid, they feel like they're doing okay. But that mindset keeps everything flat. Here's what most people don't realize. Wealthy individuals don't just focus on how much they earn, they focus on where each dollar is going and what it's doing for them. They intentionally divide their cash flow into roles. Some money is used to maintain their current lifestyle, rent, food, essentials. Some is used to reduce risk, like paying down high-interest debt or building an emergency fund. And some is always directed toward building future wealth, investments that grow over time. This is where it gets really interesting. Instead of asking, should I invest or pay off debt, they ask a better question. How can I make my money do multiple jobs at once? Because the goal isn't just to manage money, it's to direct it with purpose. All right, so let's make this practical. Because understanding the concept is one thing, but actually applying it is what changes your situation. Look, you don't need a perfect plan. You need a simple system you can stick to. Start by getting clear on your numbers. Not roughly, exactly. How much you earn, how much you spend, what you owe, and what you currently save. Because without clarity, every decision you make is just a guess. Next, Set a monthly win target, not something extreme, something realistic. Maybe it's improving your financial position by $200 or $300 this month through a mix of saving, investing, or paying down debt. Now, you might be thinking, that still feels hard to maintain. That's exactly why automation matters. Set up automatic transfers into your savings or investment accounts. Remove the need to decide every month. And if income is your constraint, focus on increasing it gradually. Even an extra $100, $200 a month can accelerate your progress more than you think. Because here's the thing. Consistency beats intensity. Every time. So let's bring this all together. Look, building $100,000 isn't about one big moment. It's not about getting lucky, timing the market perfectly, or suddenly doubling your income overnight. It's about something much less exciting, but far more reliable. Small monthly wins. Here's the thing. When you zoom out, $100,000 feels overwhelming. But when you break it down into consistent actions, $200, $300, $500 a month, it starts to feel possible, manageable even. And this is where it gets really interesting. The hardest part isn't reaching 100K. It's staying consistent long enough to let the system work. Because in the beginning, progress feels slow, almost invisible. You'll question if it's even working, but over time, momentum builds. Your money starts working for you, and eventually, the results become undeniable. Now you might be thinking, what if I mess up? You will, everyone does. But that's not what determines your outcome. What matters is whether you keep going. So don't focus on changing your entire life overnight. Focus on winning this month. Improve something, anything. Because small wins, repeated consistently, don't just change your money. They change your trajectory. And that's how you stop feeling stuck for good.